Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a good Monday. Ryan, how you doing, man? You look wore out, ain't you?
I'm good. I'm tired.
Long Monday?
Yeah, we had a little charity golf tournament. Blue Otter Sunglasses. No offense, Revo, but they put on this this charity event for they call it Musicians on Call, but it's basically like local artists that go to hospitals and play for the sick people. So we sponsored a hole and sponsored a team. I think we sponsored Longest Drive, our shotgun shell company, TSS Shot. So we got to go out there, man. It was neat. A lot of the Nashville stars. I think Morgan Wallen and Riley Green, Tracy Lawrence, Randy Hauser. It was a fun little day for sure. But I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you got to stay up just a little bit longer because we got a big show tonight. We got the KBF National Championship Top 3. We all had fun watching that last week, and on Saturday watching them crown the champ. We've got 1 through 3. We got Matt Scotch, Cody Milton, and Guillermo Gonzalez, the champ. We just had Guillermo on for winning a BOS event, so my man.
We were texted back and forth as we were watching. I was like, "Are we gonna have Guillermo back on again?" I feel like you have to. It's a national championship.
Yeah,
you can't just ignore it.
Well, Mark Pendergraph went to the championship, and in my mind, he was one of the guys. or the only guy that had a chance to capture 2 of the 3 in the Triple Crown. You know what I mean? Because he had the Bass Nation championship, and he could have got the KBF. Well, he didn't get that done, but Guillermo now has the KBF National Championship. He can get the second part of the Triple Crown because he's also going to the TOC. Not to put that kind of pressure on him, but he's still got that hanging out there for him. So that'll be fun to see what happens. And the way he's finishing the year, who knows? He's hot as anything.
He's on a hot streak. Yeah, there's no arguing that for sure.
Yeah. So this is going to be a fun one talking to those guys. I know they each have their own story about how that tournament went. We had fun watching it. And I don't know about you, Ryan. I mean, I know that you and I we're critical of any organization as they flounder and flop through trying to get things done. But all the reports I've seen come in is this was the most organized and best run KBF National Championship yet. Is that something?
I read a post by Christine today, and she's like, this is the best national championship thus far. So good job. Yeah. Hats off.
Hats off to them. Yeah, they're getting it going. And we got a bunch of folks commenting from YouTube. So thank you all over on the YouTube channel for being there watching us. Ryan mentioned Revo a little bit ago. I didn't plan on us doing a giveaway tonight. We don't have any shades or anything, but I'm in a giving mood, and I got a lot of T-shirts and stuff to give away. So we'll do a little Revo pack giveaway, maybe some Revo lanyards and a shirt and some other stuff that we've got over here. So if you guys will like and share the stream, we will give away a little Revo gift pack at the end of the night to one lucky winner. So go ahead and do that for us, and I'll pick somebody on YouTube as well. We'll slide you something over there too. So. Yeah, Josh, we'll get you a hat if you're the winner. If you guys want a hat, whoever wins, I'll let you guys kind of pick what you want. We've got hats, shirts, whatever you guys want. So we'll slide it to you. But before we get to that, we'll talk about a few things before we get these fellas in here. What went down over the weekend? We had some state championships happen as well, besides the national championship. I know Tennessee had theirs the week before. Oklahoma and Arkansas just had theirs this weekend. So KBN OG Luke Arian won the Oklahoma State Championship. So shout out to Luke. And then John Wofford won the Arkansas one. Another radiology guy, Nuke Med Tech, Ryan.
Okay.
They're killing it in kayak fishing. So, yeah.
It's a byproduct of all the radiation.
I guess so. And it wouldn't be right if we didn't mention our sponsors before we got going. Of course, Revo. We're doing a Revo giveaway. Use that code KBN25 to save some money on Revo sunglasses over there. Matt Frentress, you saw that post he made, Ryan. He hollered at you about his Dexters and Jaspers. Or you guys were talking about your Jaspers and his Dexters. Yeah. So hit them up. We've got Western Sun, as always, the beverage of choice for us. And then I wanted to mention tonight, Dugout Bait and Tackle in Marietta, Georgia. Talked to Steve earlier. He wanted me to mention everybody's going to Motors this year, and Dugout literally carries all three of the major brands of motors over there. And I've got it pulled up on dugoutfishing.com right here. And they also got some Tim Percy's custom motor mounts there. But they got the Torpedo, the Newport.
We've got the motor mounts. We've got Tim's like his power distribution thing for the Hobies. You know, he makes kind of like that, like a false board that you can mount all your electronics on. Tim, I guess in his retirement, he's really really whittling away at this accessory market.
And I'll tell you, the one that's picking up steam is that Newport, man. Everybody's talking big about that for the price point.
I'll tell you, and I'll speak on that a little bit. I, of course, shot my mouth off because that's what I do when they first came out, because they're obviously very similar to a Torpedo, like very, very similar to a Torpedo. And I was critical of that because I think that you could make some changes if you're going to kind of jump in that same market to make it appear different. It doesn't have to look the same. It can do the same thing, but it doesn't have to look exactly the same. What I have heard are, excellent feedback on the ability to run whatever kind of battery you want. I know there's several different prominent lithium suppliers now, but if you take a 50 amp hour lithium battery, 24 volt, you can run for days, days and days on those things. I think that is one advantage that Newport motor brings to the table over the Torpedo. I have one in the box in my garage that I'm going to install on the Outback and see what it's got. And I'll do a little comparison review and tell folks what I really think.
Yeah, good stuff. One more thing I want to mention tonight. Paul Roberts just said it from the YouTube audience over there. Are we going to mention the new platform that got mentioned on Kayak Bass Nation? I guess that was yesterday. And yes, we're going to. I don't know if you guys saw it over on the group page, maybe on my personal Facebook page, but I launched a new website. It's kayakfishingnetwork.com. Let me pull it up right here. A lot of people don't realize that some of our Facebook groups, KBN being one of them, have been threatened to be shut down by Facebook and Mr. Zuckerberg more than once. And with all that goes on Facebook and outside of just kayak fishing, which I think we all use it for, mostly kayak fishing, or a lot of us do, I wanted to create a place that was a social media site that everything you clicked on and everything you scrolled through was just kayak fishing all the time. And it's got some cool features that Facebook doesn't have. I've got an event calendar built into it where everybody in the community can upload events. We've got the same kind of social groups that you're used to seeing. There's a bunch of groups already forming over there, so you can see that. Kind of a cool deal. And then the actual news feed is real similar to what Facebook is. I mean, it's people posting on their wall and sharing pictures and whatnot. So we're going to try to get this thing going. If you want to go over there and join, just go to kayakfishingnetwork.com and use the code KFN Club, and you can check it out for 90 days. Give it a look. Tell me what you think. Give me some feedback, because I think it's going to be a cool place that we can have separate from Zuckerberg land, and you won't ever have to see the fact checkers or the Dr. Fauci, whoever it is you don't like seeing on Facebook anymore. You can just see big fish and other people sharing about kayak fishing. So check that out. I think you guys will like it. So I've gotten some good feedback so far. So good times.
For sure. Solid idea.
Yeah, man. All right. So what do you think? We got three guys that I know are beat, but they're anxious to share their stories. Let's just get them in here. What do you think?
All right. Bring them.
Hang on just a second. Boom, boom, boom.
There they are. The three amigos. The three amigos.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. I don't even know where to start with you three guys. We've got a lot of stories. I'd like to ask you all a question right off the bat. You heard what we said before we brought you in. Whoever wants to start first, what was your general opinion of the overall event? Would you agree with what I've been hearing, which is this was it all kind of came together for him this time around with the organization of the event? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. It was, it was like, I don't know, it was like a little late start on like the top 100. But I mean, other than that, I mean, you were like late getting there. It was all starting so early. So it was definitely, I don't know, maybe a slight change of pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it went very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's a lot to keep in line with 300 and something people and cutting it to 100 folks. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, and you guys can be honest or not. Did anyone forget to video their fish before they released them? Did you guys remember on everyone?
Be honest or not.
I videoed every fish that I could video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one fish, and I think I talked to several other people who had the same problem. So, like, I had my biggest fish, it was 22 inches, and I got the photograph in between, like, looking at the picture when I snapped the photograph and, like, trying to go to video, it flopped around in the boat and flopped out. So I didn't get the video of that one, but, you know, I got a photograph of it. That's all that mattered.
Anybody else forget?
I think I lost a 19-incher off the board the first day before I got a picture of it, but I think I ended up culling it, so I don't think it mattered. So I pretty much have videos of everything.
Right.
Yep.
I dang sure have a lot of videos of fish flopping all over my boat.
Right.
I've got a lot of that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get back over here to Cody quick. If the Allen brothers are watching, I want you guys to see that picture of the goat back there behind Cody.
I knew that was going to happen.
We got
John.
we got Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's hiding a little bit though. He's back there though.
All right.
It's the Michael corner.
I can appreciate you putting that in for this stream tonight. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, Ryan, who do we want to start with, man? We want to start with 3 and go to 1, or start with 1 and go to 3? How do we want to do this?
Let's start with Scotch, yeah.
Okay. All right. And before we get going, we have more than one winner on here. I was tripping and think Guillermo swept it all. Cody actually won the challenge championship, right? So we got 2 winners on this deal.
And
so
AOY, correct? That was the lock in for AOY too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll get to some of that. But first we're going to get to the adventures of Mr. Scotch.
Tell us about it. Like, I mean, obviously you had one of your typical tournament moments where you didn't have your identifier in the picture of a pretty good fish.
Yeah.
How did all that unfold?
Yeah. So what happened? That was on day 2. I had just moved to an area I'd caught a really nice fish in practice on. I was really confident in it. On the way there, I passed another guy. And once I got like casting distance around that guy, I made one cast and caught a fish. And he's like kind of started pacing with me. And I catch that 20-inch bass, and that guy is with me like in the trees now. And I let my guard down. I started talking to him about how big the fish was and what I caught it on. And I just got distracted, and I forgot to put the identifier down because I was talking to somebody. That's normally not the case, but it happened, and I'd made the mistake until the very end of the day. But yeah, that was definitely one I'd like to not make in a big tournament.
Did you submit the fish like when you realized it, or
no?
Did you realize it before you submitted it?
No, I had no idea. I submitted the fish. I had no idea. I didn't put it down. I submitted it and thought it was on my stringer, and had no idea until Corey Racer messaged me about 3:00 and asked me why my fish didn't count. And I started looking at it and figured out why. I mean, it's on me, you know. It's on the angler to make sure you do that. And I just, like I said, got distracted and forgot to do it.
What was the difference on your stringer? I mean, what was your smallest fish versus?
It was 3 1/4 inches that day. Whoa. Yeah, because that was a 20 1/4, and I ended up turning in a 17. So,
so for Josh's question there, it didn't impact you in the final total, I guess, in the overall national, but it did in the trail series, didn't it?
Yeah, it did affect some things. I mean, it ended up affecting AOY standings, and and some other stuff. My boneheaded mistake, kind of gifted Cody an AOI, and
We'll take it.
Oh,
Really?
man.
yeah, I would have finished. It was the AOI between Russ and Cody was just neck and neck, and I think like every point mattered. And if I would have submitted that fish, I would have been ahead of Cody on day 2, and that's when the tournament ended. And yeah, so it definitely affected AOI standings, and
Wow.
so.
What a domino effect. Cost you a little money and
Sorry,
cost some people some
Russ.
points.
Yeah, sorry, Russ, but Cody appreciates it.
Hey, we'll take what we can
This
get.
was a
at this
setup.
point.
This was a setup. Cody's texting him like, throw that fish back. Throw that fish back, man. Come on.
No, I swear it never went down like that. I needed every inch I could get. I mean, I was trying to win.
I don't think anybody can throw back a 20-inch fish. I don't care how good of friends we are. Sorry, man.
Right.
It's not happening like that.
So how did the rest of your tournament? I mean, obviously you still put up a bag. Like on day 3, like you were catching them pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, day 1 went just as I had planned. I had an area, and I was real confident I was going to catch them there. And before I even got there, like on my starting spot, I had this one giant cypress tree, and in practice I got 2 huge blowups on it. And I started on that tree, and I caught a 21.5. And then I caught another 21.5. And it was just like the perfect start to the morning, and it really took all the pressure off. And I knew I hadn't even got down to like this one area that had, a bunch of like, 20-inch bass in it. And I just knew day 1 was going to be a good morning when it started off like that. And got down to the good area, got a 22 and a 19, and ended up leaving that because I knew I wanted to save it since I really didn't have to like, use it on day 1. I wanted to save it for day 3. And so I took off at the end of day 1 and made one more hole kind of in like the biggest community hole that was on the lake over there. And I mean, day 1 was great, and day 3 was pretty good too. It started off really slow though. So on day 1, I hammered them right out the gate, and day 3, the fish were in the same area. I could see them on my side imaging, and they just wouldn't fire. I mean, about 9 o'clock, I got my first bite, and it was 20.5 inches. And 3 casts later, I got like a 16 something, and it just started snowballing. By 11 o'clock, I had a really nice stringer on day 3. There were some crazy things happening though. I kept getting caught in trot line. There was like exposed trot lines everywhere, and the trot line got in my rudder, and the trot line in my rudder kept getting in my prop. And so about 4 times in the span of about an hour and 15 minutes on day 3, I had to like get in and out of the kayak. I fell out of the kayak checking on it one time. I was literally on the back of the kayak, like a mechanic back there, taking the prop off, putting the prop back on, taking the trot line out. Then I got scuppered on the tree that I couldn't rock off of, and I had to actually had to jump out of the kayak and push the kayak off the tree, then get back in the kayak, and ended up catching my biggest fish on day 3, just absolutely soaking wet. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I like to have some excitement in my day. A day without jumping in the lake or falling in the lake just doesn't seem right to me.
As we see the sport move forward, I vote for you to be the first person with a live feed in the bag every turn.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I want to see that.
I'm game for that. Just don't put the little GPS thing on me. I don't need everybody knowing exactly where I'm trying to catch them at.
We can just have it facing you. We don't even have to put it in front facing. We'll just have it facing you, and we'll just watch.
No, I want the feed to Scotch. I don't care where he's at.
I can definitely give you some good entertainment, man.
Oh my gosh!
I definitely have a colorful personality out there.
What lake were you fishing? If you don't want to disclose too much.
I was on Bisteneau.
So all 3 of you were on Bisteneau then, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
That's crazy because the last national championship we kind of saw Caddo just dominate as far as it was like down through the top 50 pretty much. Everybody was out there. Caddo. That is nuts that there was that big of a shift, and we can get into that with the other guys of how different things affected that bite and why they were positioned where they were. But that's crazy that all three of you guys smashed them on the same lake. Small lake too, not a giant.
Not in the same area either. Like, and in the 3 days, I mean, I only ran into Cody and Guillermo for about a minute apiece on day 2. I never even saw them on day 1 or day 3.
That's nuts.
That's crazy, because I would bet you the entire week leading up to that, all the online chatter, I never saw any lake besides Caddo mentioned anywhere. Did you, Ryan? I didn't see anybody.
No, I didn't at all.
Yeah,
I remember when we were down there for the last one. I think it might have been Christine that fished Bisteneau, like day 1. They put a camera on her or something. Like she was back in the trees or something, if I remember correctly. I think that was Bisteneau. I could be wrong.
She's
but I mean,
watching,
she was on some good fish then, and the bite just didn't pan out, on day 1 of the tournament. But I want to say that was Bisteneau, like way back in the trees or something.
Yeah, I don't know. She could confirm or deny. She's in the comments somewhere. So.
Or deny.
Yeah, there she is. Yeah, she says didn't quite work out though.
I thought I remember that one.
She made a hell of a run on the last day.
Yep.
Slid into that top 100. So shout out to her. Good job, Christine. But yeah,
all
good
right.
times. Let's see. Let's get on to the AOI and the runner-up finisher, Cody Milton, and my fellow Arkansan, if I must say.
What's up?
What's up, buddy?
No, not too much.
Yeah, man. Did you happen to catch who won the Arkansas State Championship this weekend?
You mean, you can ask Matthew, Guillermo. Dude, I was like planning on going to that thing too, because like I haven't qualified for the Bass Classic, so I was like, my plan was to fish down in Shreveport till Friday, and then I was like thoroughly planning on going to the Arkansas State Championship after that, and then kind of realized I probably did good enough. I needed to stay for the awards, so I didn't. So I didn't end up doing it.
Yeah. But
that would have been filthy. Just dip out on the AOY title. Like,
go fish the Arkansas State
slide on up here to Arkansas real quick.
Yeah.
You could have came in remote.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
how did
break
your
down.
Day go? So I mean, not day, but the 3 days. How did it set up? When did you know that was the spot that you were going to fish, and that it had 3 days worth of fish, which I feel like is the hardest part in this style tournament.
So, I mean, man, to be honest, like, I don't know if you remember this, Jeff. Did you ever go fish Lake Erling like 2 years ago when it was on that fall drawdown?
No.
Man, it was like everything in my gut told me that was like, if you know bass fishing, you're not going to run away from a fall drawdown. And like, that was like, for me from the start, like that was the deal. Like I'd spent several days on Lake Erling a couple years ago, and like I knew how insane that was. I mean, if you don't know where that is, it's probably like 30 minutes from Caddo, like just barely in Arkansas. And I mean, it was just stupid. Like they dropped at 9, 12 foot, and I mean, you were going and catching 20 pounds 3 times over again. So I mean, and I would be lying if I said it wasn't hard to have gone to Caddo. Like I won an event there. I finished 5th there a couple years ago. And yeah, I mean, I legitimately didn't spend a day on Caddo. It was, I mean, for me, it was just that fall drawdown. I mean, it's like, it's one of those deals. I mean, it's like you're either kind of in the right area or you're not. And, to know a lake's going to be 9 foot low, it's pretty hard to not, put that, very on the center point of your radar. So yeah, I mean, I think me and Matthew practice every single day. I think we practice every single day together for 6 straight days, and we never fished one day of the tournament together, but we definitely practice in the same vicinity every day. Yeah.
So for the people watching, Cody, explain the magic of that drawdown. Is it concentrating the fish or what? Lit you on fire about that.
Yeah, it definitely does that. But it's like, and everyone was like, well, are they just like on every little flat you turn on Bisteneau? And it was like, no, I mean, it wasn't that simple. Like, I mean, it was. I mean, like, you could just fish the outer flats of those channel bends and catch them. But like, those big ones were still like where the lake actually opened up. And I think like G would probably agree to that to some degree. Like it wasn't just where it was a creek, like it also still opened up into a lake, and like that was kind of that was the deal for me, was probably staying more in that mid-lake area, where like your flats weren't half a foot, but your flats were like 2.5, 3 foot.
And was it still like a cover and water kind of deal? I mean, were you, obviously it's just cypress trees everywhere, but was that the thing, is just trying to, I know some guys were like, yeah, I was really catching them more around isolated, big trees kind of off by itself versus the clumps of trees, or was it just random, keep casting till you bump into something?
It was, I had spent I don't know. I feel like I had spent so much time there. Like for me, it was a time of day thing. If it was partly cloudy, they would be on every single laydown, and like every cluster of trees would have anywhere from like 1 to 4 laydowns. And I would go just hit the laydowns, and I would move on to the next cluster of trees. But I mean, days that it was super sunny, they didn't really care about the laydowns, and it was more about like the isolated trees. And I mean, I was punching mats too. Like I was spending like 2 hours a day from like 12 to 2. I was just punching mats, and I didn't have any competition doing that, which I feel like that helped me a lot too.
Where were your biggest bites coming from? I mean, what was your strategy to get the big ones to fire?
So it was, I kind of feel like I didn't come across, like, of fishing there for 7 days, I don't feel like I actually really figured out how to catch the biggest fish until the last day. Because like there was like, you were going to catch your biggest fish first thing in the morning, or you were going to catch them in the last hour. And that's just how it was going to be. And that third day, and like Matthew will tell you too, like this, like the night after the first day, I was like, man, I've got to put some black thumpers in my boat. Like I've got to put some single Colorado black spinner baits in my boat. And I just I forgot. And I didn't put them in there the second day, and I put them in there the third day, and then I caught like a 22, 11 minutes in, and then I caught like a 20 and a half, like probably 40 minutes after that. And, and it's like, I love throwing a black thumper. Like, I've made them myself for like several years now. And, yeah, I mean, that was that helped me a lot. That third day was just, getting a few big ones in the boat and feeling comfortable.
Got a YouTube question here. Somebody say punching a rage on mats. I guess were you punching some sort of rage bug or rage menace or something?
Yeah, I was punching a rage menace. Yeah,
menace.
I was punching a little slither rig, like kind of a punch skirt with a menace on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Good stuff.
At any point, so we were watching a back and forth on day 3. Like, I mean, I felt like we were updating it like every 2 minutes, and it was just, you would go in front, Guillermo would go in front, Guillermo would cull another half inch. Like, it was just back and forth the whole time. Did you know that was going on? Were you aware of it?
Oh, yeah. I was definitely, like, because my phone's like very vulnerable right now. It's probably got like 40 cracks on the face of it, and like the whole back end just has like a giant hole in the back. So yeah, dude, when I caught a fish, I submitted it. There was no holding on and seeing if the moisture, cooked it. Like I was submitting them. Yeah, like I was pretty aware, and I know Guillermo like didn't check the leaderboard a lot, but he even told me, he was like, man, I was looking, like trying to get some motivation, So yeah, I was definitely submitting them and kind of pretty aware. Like I knew like that punch and bite for me, like, I don't know. I really wish it would have kind of maybe even transpired into a little more that third day, because I was able to let it rest so much the second day. We had rain, spitting rain the second day, and I only got one bite punching the second day, and it was a really good one. But I mean, I left all the other mats untouched after the first day. So it was like, I caught a ton of fish punching that third day, but really only 2 of them I think actually helped me, and it didn't help me a lot. They were like 19 and a halves and maybe 19 and a quarters.
Unbelievable.
Jeff,
yeah, we were
throw the phone question up real quick. all the money that you just won, have you bought a new phone yet?
Yeah. Dude, I'm so close. That's my first purchase. I bought a mapping chip for Lake Eufaula today, and I'll thoroughly plan on buying a phone within the week.
I got you.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Get you some.
That's probably a good investment.
Some of that glass.
Coming up.
I agree.
Get you some of that glass to protect that screen too. Maybe a little waterproof action. Yeah.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Got some good comments coming from YouTube and Facebook. If you guys have any specific questions for them, keep them coming, and I'll throw them up on the screen here. Like Ryan said, man, we had a good time just watching the leaderboard because, sometimes it can be boring because you don't know if people are sandbagging or what. But I swear it felt like every 5 minutes. You guys were updating that thing and making it happen. So obviously you had good signal out there, which I didn't think you would.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't on day 3. I was having some pretty good issues trying to get them uploaded, and I finally got them, but I lucked out that the app didn't quite drain my phone all the way, but we were good, but it got really close at the end of the day.
What's up with that? I heard a few people say that. Did you got any more of you guys have trouble with it pulling your battery trying to get fish submitted?
I did until like the first day, it was absolutely draining my phone on every submission, but I didn't do that like lower quality, do the thumbnail thing. I did like the second and third day I did that, and I had way more phone battery left than I did the first day.
Okay. I heard a few stories that I didn't really understand why. It's a compression issue, I guess.
Pendergraph said he had like 59.5 inches of fish he was trying to upload, and his battery was dead. He was pretty happy after. I think was that day one. I can't remember.
If you have one bar, it's gonna give you some trouble probably uploading them.
I got you.
Just make sure you have like a Dakota battery pack or something on you to keep your phone like charged, and you're gonna be good. But it's definitely a good idea to have an external battery pack.
PDH in the comments saying, he's saying the low quality thing was legit. I guess that was the key.
Yep, it was.
Does the Fish Chaos app, does it have, like Turning X, for instance, like if you try to upload something and it won't go, it just puts it in the live well or whatever it is. Is there something like that it can just send to and like you can upload when you do get service later?
Not that I can remember.
Okay. I haven't fished a tournament on, so I don't know. I haven't. We were trying to obviously watch and keep up with the stuff, but you can't see what the actual features are available to the anglers. So
I know, like until this was the biggest tournament I'd ever fished on Fishing Chaos, but like a lot of the other smaller ones, man, like with one bar, it was submitting so fast. Like this tournament in particular might not have been the case, but all year it seemed like it was submitting really good with one bar.
Maybe just bandwidth, just like before when they were using Turning X, it was the same issue. When you had that many people trying to put, and not just put them into the national championship, but 3 different events at the same time. So it's almost like triple the amount of people for a couple of days.
I think it was even more than that because like you were doing, like the big bass, like the team event, like it was like 5 or 6 tournaments you were submitting fish to. So like it did pretty decent. Really
I noticed once it went through the first time, it started going faster.
Yeah.
But getting those first submissions to go through took a little bit longer.
You had to break that ice. It's like Cody broke his phone. You had to break that ice.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Guillermo. How did your big, huge win? Like I think that's as kayak anglers, that's like that's on the bucket list. That's one that you definitely want to take home, and you did it, and fairly local to you. You fished the Texas Louisiana stuff previously. So how much did that factor into your success?
Well, honestly, this tournament gave me the opportunity to completely fish what I would consider my greatest strengths. To fish really fast, to make quick, short casts. Quick, short, accurate casts, and I was able to do that the entire day, every day, all day, and I think that played a big part in helping me out. It just literally, from my perspective, when I got there on the first day of practice, I was kind of shocked how good it was fishing, and how I hate to say this, but Dwayne Dwyer said it best. We were if you guys watched the awards ceremony, he literally said we just smashed them everywhere we went.
Yeah,
and that's just how it felt. And considering it was fishing to my strengths, I felt like man, I might have a really good shot at this thing the way it's setting up, and it dang sure did.
Unbelievable. Well, let's talk about the tournament, man. What you said you fished to your strengths. What exactly did you find when you showed up and started pre-fishing that set your mind like that?
Well, I found a 8-foot low lake with a lot of concentrated fish, and it seemed like, from what I could tell, if you could you kind of had to think of it as like, I'm trying to think of the best way to think of it, but you have to think of it as, you have to think of where the fish would drain out, with the lake coming down. And I used that, and I looked at a ton of Google Earth imagery, and I looked at a ton of historical images, and I tried to figure out, based on all the drawdowns from years past, where the fish would drain out. And from there, that's where I kind of designed where I was going to practice. And I mean, I found a couple little holes here and there. And I remember the first day I went in one of those holes, and it was just downright dumb. I mean, it seemed like every stick had a 20-incher on it. Every mat had a big old frogfish on it. I mean, it was honestly some of the most fun I've had bass fishing in a while. And I think Cody and Scotch can attest.
Yeah.
It was pretty good out there.
Yeah, I mean, I had fished it a little bit for the NC 2 years ago. I actually spent one of my days there, and I mean, it was kind of a night and day difference in how good it fished. And I guess
you pretty much had your mind made up before you went in. That was the lake you were going to focus all your energy on, kind of into figuring it out pre-fishing.
I didn't quite have my mind made up, but it was definitely the lake I was the most curious about. So it was the lake that I went to first. I was considering the fact that it was drawn down, and I thought to myself, I'm really curious about that. I wonder what that does to the fishing. And I showed up, and I got the answer pretty quick. And from then on, I spent just like Cody, I spent every single day of practice on Bisteneau, trying to learn everything that I could.
So pre-fishing, did you got any of you can answer this? And this can be a lesson for the crowd. How did you target your pre-fishing? Were you laying into fish? Did you check any of them? Or were you just covering water and looking for the right stuff? Catching a few here and there to see the quality, or how did you exactly approach that?
Kind of like exactly what you just said. I personally made it a point to cover as much water as I possibly could. I didn't spend too much time in any one area. And it seemed like if on any given day, if you just covered water, you'd run into big ones eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was kind of the same thing for what Cody and I did in practice is, we moved around and constantly, fished all around the lake. And, what we were seeing is the fish were biting. It wasn't an area or a spot. It was a lake-wide pattern. And kind of once you got a feel for it, you could replicate it all over the lake. You didn't have to be in one specific spot.
Completely agree with Scotch.
I think the lake was like 17 miles from the dam to Port of Bisteneau, which was like the last legal launch up north. And I know Matthew and I like literally drew a 17-mile line from the dam to Port of Bisteneau. And it wasn't like one day up at the dam was better than like way up the river. Like it was just all pretty dang good.
So speaking of ramps, tell us about this launch situation. We saw some pictures and some stories. Like, what in the heck did y'all get into?
We were just going on an early morning teal hunt. That was it.
That's what it was. That's what it felt like.
When I saw that,
it was just an early morning duck
like
hunt.
some duck hunting boat ramp out here, just trudging through it.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first day that I got there. That was actually the ramp that I had spent a lot of time in pre-fishing for the national championship 2 years ago. And I got there and I looked at it and I was like, oh, goodness, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. But then I thought to myself, man, I'm a duck hunter. If anyone can do this, it's me. So I'm gonna get down there and give it a shot. And the first time that I did it, I kid you not, it took me 1 hour to get to the water.
Yeah.
If not more. The first time that I did it. On the way out, I kind of decided to get creative and kind of find a different way, try to find some drier ground. So it ended up being a lot longer that way. But it was pretty nuts. But what made it really, really cool was once the tournament came around, it was me, Cody, Joe, and Christian, and everybody helped each other get to the water.
That was like the coolest part about it.
So much easier when everybody was helping each other. Doing it by yourself was a pain in the rear, but when everybody helped each other, it was much easier. And I honestly couldn't thank the good Lord enough for all three of those gentlemen that were at that ramp, because they made the whole experience so much better for me.
So did y'all just stumble upon being in that same launch area, or was that kind of a coordinated effort to be able to help each other, or it just kind of worked out that way?
It really worked out that day.
Yeah, it really did kind of work out that way.
That's cool.
I had a really good idea. I was going to launch there all week, and I knew I didn't want to launch there in practice. I don't know. I had a good buddy tell me that a lot of people were looking for my van along the waterways. So it was probably good I didn't ever launch there until the actual, game day or whatever. So yeah, Ryan, I mean that was probably one of the best things we did was stay off the water a few days.
Ryan, how did we not ask this question? Did you get that van stuck this time or not?
No, I didn't.
I didn't even think about it. Damn, there's always a Cody Milton van stuck.
Yeah, Guillermo did not pull me out this week. He's pulled me out a lot, but not this week.
Yeah, that's like become a tradition. There's a van stuck picture at every big tournament, like off the side of the road somewhere. So yeah,
and it's always G or Matthew that saves me too. Always.
Every time. That's funny. We talked a little bit ago about Matt's adventures on the water. G, you had some adventures, man. You had a broke boat, didn't you, at some point during the tournament?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, so one of the things about Bisteneau this time around, from it being so low, is there were about 500,000 nubs that were barely under the water surface. And one of the days I don't know how many times I high centered. I mean, probably 20 times. And in one of those times, I think I put one of those nubs right through a false scupper and started taking some water and. Something that really could have happened to anyone. And and so day one and day two of the tournament, I had my boat was dang near underwater by the end of the day. I actually, Duke heard about it, and Duke Tran from Mariner Sales, and he actually sent me a text. He's like, "Man, I heard what you got going on. Is there anything that I can do to help you out?" And I felt awful for asking this, but I was like, honestly, there is something that you can do. I promise I'll make it up to you. And could you run by my house and get my other boat? And
teach him to ask.
He didn't even think twice about it. He went straight to my house, hooked up my trailer with my boat, and brought it down for me. And
it's freaking awesome.
It made day three so much better for me to have a boat that was handling right. Because by the end of the day,
you pretty much had to win it at that point, like just
right,
just as a gratitude.
Yeah, and and also, I had several. I wanted to say it just speaks volumes about our community. I had several anglers reach out to me and offer me their spare boat, but the fact of the matter is, I wanted to fish out of my boat. I love my boat so much, and it suits my strengths so well that I really wanted to be in my boat. And it meant so much to me that Duke was willing to do that for me. And I'll definitely be in his debt for that.
It's crazy.
Old Deuce, he's good people, man.
For sure.
And I know he was beat. He just got done running the throwdown the week before. So
he definitely was.
He's a hard-working man, hardest working man in Texas, in the kayak world, probably.
I agree.
We had a question for somebody. Oh, Paul from YouTube asked, people talk about momentum in fishing. How much did momentum play into your finish, do you think?
I think it played a huge role into my finish. I mean, we can look at history and see, anyone who's ever been on fire, and it's like once you kind of get it going, you can usually keep it going for a little while. And I mean, anybody in this sport has had that happen. Scotch, Cody, Russ, and so many others, Lambert, so many others.
I need it again.
And so I certainly think that momentum is playing a role. When you go into a tournament with confidence makes all the difference in the world. And I certainly felt confident going into this event, and I just hope I can keep it going.
No offense to your momentum, but I hope you lose a little bit of steam between now and the end. Seems like you're winning everything you get in, so we're gonna have to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, we had another YouTube question. If I can get back and find it. Dadgummit.
I want to speak to that, like the momentum part, fishing confidently when you go into a tournament. I don't necessarily think that it's the momentum part, but you waste less time because in your head you know what they're gonna bite, you know where they're gonna be, so you're not like running around changing baits, scrambling around, like maybe they're in the shade, maybe they're on this point, like you in your head, I'm gonna make them eat this way, and that's what you do all day long. I think that's one of the biggest things as far as having confidence when you start up on day one.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Found that question here, and any of you guys can take this, but what's the one lure you always have tied on a rod? And I guess that speaks to confidence. Everybody's got a confidence lure when they head out.
Is this just in general or during this tournament?
Well, you pick.
I think it's in general. I mean, that's
in
how
general, but yeah, you can answer for this tournament if you want.
It's pretty much the same for me as this tournament as it is in general. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm always gonna have something to flip, whether it be like a little slither rig, or whether it be a 3/8 jig or a 1/2 ounce jig. And I caught a lot of fish on both of those, like a 3/8 jig and a little slither rig, little 5/16, the 3/8 slither rig.
Okay. Matt, what about you?
Honestly, it's hard to beat a spinnerbait.
Right. I didn't even throw it this week.
I didn't catch fish on it in the tournament, but I had something better working. I was a lot more confident in this week than the spinnerbait, and I got a feeling everybody else is throwing a spinnerbait, so I was feeding them some funky chicken.
Okay. Champ,
is that all you're gonna say? Is the funky chicken?
Man, for me,
I watched the awards. I know what he was throwing.
Whoa, quick!
Whoa!
Oh,
I didn't know that was gonna happen.
This is recorded. This is recorded, by the way.
Well, for me, man, that's a really tough question. I got a lot of things I really like doing, but if I had to pick one bait that's just always in my boat, almost no matter what, it's probably a buzzbait. I get an absolute kick out of buzzbait fishing. It's one of my favorites. But in this tournament, I'll go ahead and show y'all.
Oh
my goodness!
It was definitely that guy right there.
It's beat to death too.
It's beat to death. It was always in the front of my boat.
Is that double white blades or were those chrome blades? I couldn't tell.
Nope, double white.
Double white. Okay. There you go, guys. The juice. So
the video that you posted a video clip of you fighting a fish backwards and sideways and up a tree and all kinds of stuff. Were you trolling and fishing, making casts with that spinnerbait as you went? Yeah, that's it. There you go. Is that how? I mean, was that what you were doing during the tournament? Because it looked like, I don't know if it was just momentum that kept carrying you into this tree that almost caused a disaster. Was the motor going the whole time?
No,
what was happening there?
The motor was not going, but the wind was.
Okay. I was wondering, like, what is happening here?
I was using basically, I was using the motor to help me get places faster. And when I was going from tree to tree, I would use the motor And until I got to a place where I could either power pull down or I could make a quick cast. And in that particular situation, I still had a little bit too much momentum. And on top of the fact that fish pulled me right into the tree.
Yeah. Oh, and I was watching. I'm like, surely the motor is not like running him into the tree while he's trying to land this fish. Like that was a lot. That was a lot for sure.
That was awesome.
It was a lot for me. I'm just glad that fish made it in.
That was the juice too. That was that bait, wasn't it?
That was that bait.
Sure enough, flopping around.
Was that on day 3?
That one was on day 2.
Okay.
So you say you're not Cody mentioned earlier you're not a leaderboard watcher, at least not that much of one. But on day 3, Cody started high and got out to a pretty good sized lead. Did you peek in there and see where he was at in the morning?
So on Fishing Chaos, if you want to check your total, it automatically shows you your rank. And I think you can't just check your total without it telling you your rank, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's definitely some feedback that I would give them. But anyways, so at one point, once I started building up a pretty good stringer, I realized that my rank was like second or third. And I was like, goodness gracious, that was all the motivation I needed. And I went full beast mode and tried to catch everything I could, and I ended up making quite a few calls.
Yeah, that was wild because y'all went quarter inch for a little bit. It was like you jumped by a half inch, then Cody came by a quarter inch, so y'all were catching them, and it was a little bit at a time for a short period anyway. It was culling a 19 for a 19 and a quarter. Bless your hearts.
Yep. Yeah, it was goodness. It was fun. That's all I gotta say.
That's awesome, though. I mean, to see you guys and y'all finished in the money quite a bit around the country in different tournaments. But I mean, what does that feel like to have two of your best buddies, your road dogs, y'all stay together, travel together? Guillermo, you and Scotch have gone back and forth 1s and 2s in Texas for years and years. What does it feel like to get on that stage together, doing what y'all did?
It's an amazing feeling. I lived with Scotch for a long time, and I consider Cody to be a close friend, and I couldn't think of better people to share the stage with. And honestly, more amazing anglers. What really makes us feel like an accomplishment was the fact that I beat some people that are absolutely incredible freaking fishermen. I mean, and that's the part that's almost hard to believe. There's so many incredible fishermen that fished in this event, and the fact that I was able to come out on top it felt really good, and I think you could see it on my face when they announced me the winner. I had some tears, and and being up there with Cody was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would say that of every tournament I've ever seen, especially this national championship, a lot of times it's always somebody that comes out of nowhere that wins, even maybe the top 1 or 2 over the years, and we kind of guess that might happen again. But this one, 1 through 10, especially like you guys, the top 3, you guys in the kayak fishing world are front and center of known anglers in this sport. Everybody knows you guys catch them everywhere you go. And it was wild to see it. And you had Russ up there too, and you had a couple local hammers up in the top 10 as well making a run. So to see all these guys that were expected to show out, put on a show like you did was so cool and so impressive, this time around, especially with 300-something people. To fight it, because a lot of. Do you think that the 3-day event played a part in you guys kind of separating yourselves, or it was just you guys were all on it this week?
I think we were all on it.
All on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about G because I really didn't get to talk to him much during the week, but I know with Cody and I mean, we were definitely, we were planning for a 3-day tournament and having 3 days worth of fish to catch, and I think we all had good game plans, and we had found good fishing practice, and one of the things I was talking to Cody about is like everywhere I caught a good fish in practice, I went back to it in the tournament and I caught another good fish there in the tournament.
Yeah.
And it was so consistent. So, I mean, I think we just had like really good game plans and just executed really well. And we didn't sore lip them too bad in practice. You know, it's like once you kind of realize what you got, I mean, you got to leave it alone a little bit. You can't just sit there and wail on them, you know, and catch 100+ inches out of one hole. So, yeah, no, it's kind of the way it was for us. So.
How many people were on that lake other than, you know, obviously the guys that launched where you and Cody launched, Guillermo? But, I mean, do y'all know any other people that were on Bisteneau that were on a similar deal? I mean, was it crowded? Was there 30, 50? Like, how many people do you think were out there total?
Well, I
it
launched
had to
the
have
other
been
ramps that
half
had
of
more
the field,
people.
probably.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it would have probably been half of the field if I had to guess.
On
Wow.
the last day of the tournament, there was 25 people, which is a quarter of the field that launched out of the same ramp I did.
What?
Yeah.
That's
People
crazy.
they said to hell with Cato. It was all about Bisteneau.
Was Cato just off? Like, what happened? I mean, what
No,
happened to
It
Cato?
wasn't that
like-
Cato was even off. There's just so many more people over there. I mean, there's less pressure on Bisteneau, and I mean, the fish were angry. I mean, there was so much fresher. I felt like you throw a bait in front of a fish at Bisteneau, and I just felt like it was going to be more aggressive bite. Didn't feel like they'd been caught very much.
I'm
I can
still pretty
definitely
positive
see
the
that
two
part.
biggest bags came out of Cato, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The two biggest bags of the tournament came out of Caddo.
Yeah,
Is that where
I'm
Mr.
pretty
Lanzanati
certain
was?
of that.
Is that where
Joe was with us, but
Okay.
Brandon Bissell was definitely on Cato.
Yep.
Yeah, and he threw up 105.75. Oof.
That's a pretty day.
Yeah.
I agree though. Those fish on Cato do seem to shut down under pressure. I remember day 3 a couple of years ago down there. There was like a bass boat tournament too, and I mean,
Yeah,
it's like they had lockjaw, man. Like
Yep.
when those boats came in, they were like, "All right, we're done." If it was just
Yep.
5 or 6 kayaks, they were eating great. But once
Yep.
the boats came in, they were done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cato just gets so much more pressure than Bisteneau does on the drawdown. You know, most of the ramps aren't really usable on Bisteneau, so they're not having tournaments and, where the people are going to take their boats. I mean, it's really, there's so much water that's not boat friendly, that's kayak friendly right now. So there was a lot of fish that were, if you kind of got creative in the places you look for them, you could find some fish that had not seen a fish in the lure in a long time.
I agree with Scotch.
Yeah, we got Chris Stroop in the comments confirming what you guys are saying. He said there was 10 to 12 people at one of his ramps on day 1, 7 on day 3. So Bisteneau was the spot.
Got it. Folks, we're about on the hour. Go around the horn here and thank your sponsors and friends, family, whoever you want to throw out there, and we'll close this thing down.
Well, I guess I'll start it off real quick. Quick sponsor rundown. Dakota Lithium, keeping everything charged. Man, side imaging actually came into play pretty important this week for me. There were a bunch of brim beds, and I could actually see on my side imaging the fish sitting on the beds and like relating to the beds. And water as shallow as 2 foot or less. I could see them sitting out there on my side imaging. So, it was pretty neat, just seeing that and seeing it work in shallow water. So, for, keeping the graph looking nice and bright. Definitely was a big player this week. And then Dobbins Rods, last long shout out. Dobbins 685 CB. I had my friend send it to me this week. It's a short 6'8" cranking rod, which came in real important to me. Like I was making a lot of, like Guillermo was talking about, there's like a lot of short, accurate cast you're making around these trees and around certain targets, and having that short rod, I could just accurately pick everything apart. It was really important this week, and without that rod, I doubt I would have done as well as I did in the tournament. And then Mariner Cells, Excite Baits, Hobie Fishing, and NRS Fishing, who paid my way and paid for the Team Cup and everything else. Couldn't do it without you guys. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can get out there next year and maybe finish a little above Cody and Guillermo at Kentucky Lake.
Oh, Kentucky Lake. We'll talk about that on another show. Go ahead, Cody.
Oh, it's going to be brutal. Not excited about Kentucky Lake, but we're excited about now. Man, first and foremost, like, I definitely always like to thank Fish USA. They've helped me get around for almost 4 years now. And Dakota Lithium, I can't say enough about them. I pretty well in the tournament ran a 23 amp hour and a 50 amp hour 24 volt on my Newport. And I think there was one day, we were, got back pretty late, and I probably only got to charge them for 4 or 5 hours, and they still weren't charged, and they still didn't die the next day. So, big shout out to them. But man, those Newport motors are legit. I don't have a rock guard on mine, and I haven't had one for almost 6 months now. I don't think there's a lick of black paint on my Newport, but it's also still running like very purely. So Newport would be a big shout out to Newport for sure. Catch Outdoors. I know we've got a lot of cool videos coming and a lot of even better episodes than we already have coming. So keep an eye on them. And Bahio sunglasses, they're kind of new in the sport, but they actually have a pink lens that I love. I'm a really, really big sight fisherman. I've always loved yellow lenses. But pink lenses actually let in like even more light. So if you're looking for sunglasses, Bahio sunglasses are pretty sweet.
He's kidding. Go buy Revos.
We're gonna edit that out, but yeah, go ahead. Anyways, I'm just kidding.
Whatever you have to do.
I'm just kidding. All right, G, close us out, champ.
Well, I said this a couple times. The good Lord was my biggest sponsor this week. I had some fish that should have never made it to the boat. Example, the one you saw in the video. I still can't believe that one made it to the boat, and they did, and they were all important. And I needed every single one of them because Cody was catching them really, really good. But anyways, aside from that, of course, I love my boat. I've been in a Diablo for a really long time, and there is not another boat I could have possibly, I feel like, performed that well on than that boat. I've got that boat tuned in my head to the point where I feel like I can almost control it with my head. It's crazy from fishing in it for so long, and so I got to give a big shout out to those guys. It's if any one of you are in the market for a paddle boat and want something that's extremely stable and something that's extremely customizable, check them out. They're incredible. The issue that I had with my boat was something that really could have happened to anyone in any boat. I had high centered so many times that eventually it's, a little piece of plastic gave out. But I have had that boat for over 2.5 years, and I've fished well over 100 tournaments in it. And it's been incredible. Werner paddles, some of the best paddles I've ever used, and I know potentially some of the best paddles Cody's ever used from what I've heard. But anyways, we won't get into that story. The rest of my paddles is in the Mississippi Delta now. But anyways, Cody made it up to me. I'm gonna go ahead and really push Newport here too. I haven't gotten the opportunity to try the NK 180 yet, but I was using one of their transom mounted trolling motors, and it was super efficient. I was able to fish the entire day on one battery, and it was surprisingly quick. So I definitely got to push them. If you're in the market, definitely check them out. Excite baits. I actually caught a few fish this week on a square bill. It wasn't, and it's on the Excite XP1. It's my favorite square bill that there is, and I would encourage you to check them out. You can get them on their website. Fins fishing. I fished the entire tournament with the new fins. It's actually spinning rod braid, but I like it so much. It casts so well that I was using it on my bait casters, and I was throwing a spinner bait with it. I was using the 35-pound Finn spin braid. So I would encourage you all to check that out. And, of course, so many others. I would like to thank, shoot if I can even remember them all, but Yak Attack. My boat's completely decked out in Yak Attack. And like I said in the awards, they support kayak fishing in so many ways, and I would encourage y'all to go ahead and support them as well. And St. Croix rods, I used the sweeper spinnerbait model the entire tournament. It is by far the best spinnerbait rod that I've ever used. So I would encourage everybody, if you like spinnerbait fishing, to check out this rod. It's a specialty rod made just for spinnerbaits. Makes a great chatterbait rod too. And it also makes a good bonus big topwater rod if you like throwing big spooks and things like that.
And many of the aforementioned things can be found on dugoutfishing.com. Isn't that right, Ryan?
That's absolutely right.
That's what they say.
What a nice segue that was.
Guys, congratulations to all three of you. You know, looking forward to seeing you guys at TOC and see if we can close this year out right. Hats off. That was awesome. It was fun to watch. Great performance down there for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, awesome. And then real quick, Ben Rayfield, hit me up. You won the Revo swag pack. So Ben Rayfield, Tennessee boy. It's all you. Yeah. But thank y'all for watching tonight. We're going to wrap this thing up. And gentlemen, thank you so much for the time, and congrats once again. It was so fun to watch, and so happy for you guys.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care. See y'all.